Hi friends, my name is Millie and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm going to be bringing you a big old unhaul. So I am not a person who usually likes to let go of things. I am a book hoarder, as you can tell, and I really struggle with letting go of books. Most other things I'm pretty okay with, but books, I just like to have a big collection. I like to walk into my library and think, wow, look at all these books I've got, look at all these books I've got to read, look at how many of my favourite books are all in one place. But it's gotten too much. The shelves are completely overflowing, as you can see by the growing stacks just on the shelves in front of the normal books. So yeah, some need to go. And actually, in fact, the books that I'm going to be showing you today have actually been in an unhaul pile for about 4 months now, maybe even 5 months. I'm pretty sure I did it at the start of the year when the shelves were overflowing then and I was rearranging them, and I pulled off, we're going to count in this video, I don't even know how many books I pulled off the shelves then, and they've all been sat in a pile right behind you for months because I'm just not very good at letting go. But because we're now overflowing once again, I really need to get these gone out of the house. So some of these books are going to be going to charity shops. In fact, probably most of them will be going to charity shops. Some of them I'll be putting on my Vinted, which you'll be able to find below in the description box. But yeah, let's discuss what books we're going to be unhauling. So obviously the kind of point of unhauls is to really just have your library represent the books that you love and the books that kind of serve you, and I really agree with that. I don't think that there's any point in keeping books that I didn't enjoy, or keeping books that I don't really want to read anymore, keeping duplicates of books I haven't read yet, or books that I didn't like and for some reason have duplicates of. So that's kind of what these stacks are. And then in possibly a couple of months' time I'll film another unhaul, which will be the result of trying to fit my new books onto my shelves, because you can't fit any more shelves in here. So culling books is just gonna have to keep happening, which makes me so sad. I really don't like to cull books unless I can put them in storage somewhere, but then they're not going to be all in the same room. So I have a real dilemma. But before we get started, I feel like we should take a moment to appreciate my t-shirt. I went to Olivia Rodrigo 2 days ago from when I'm filming this, and I got this t-shirt from the concert, and it's my favourite thing. It is my favourite piece of merch at the minute that I own. I'm wearing it every day and I just love it. So just thought I should mention that for whatever reason. Okay, so let's start with the very first stack that I can see in front of me. Okay, so we're going to go through these pretty rapid fire because there are so many books to get through. Like there's 3 stacks ish, and there's also 2 whole shopping bags full, like big shopping bags full of books to unhaul. So let's go through these rapid fire. Okay, so the first lot of books that I'm going to be unhauling, I think that there's some more of these in one of the other stacks, it is the Arcturus, I think, editions of Jane Austen. There's Northanger Abbey, Pride and Prejudice, Persuasion and Emma, and I'm pretty sure there's Sense and Sensibility and Mansfield Park somewhere in the stacks, but I don't know where, so it's just these 4 for now. But we'll say 6 as the first count because they are somewhere in there. And the reason I'm unhauling these is not because I don't love Jane Austen, because I do, but I have up above me, way up there, is all of my Wordsworth collector's editions. So I don't need the Arcturus ones as well. So that's why these are going to go. So starting off with 6. The next one is, I'm only going to show it very briefly because I do not want to support this author at all. The screenplay of Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Don't need it. Don't need it. It's J.K. Rowling. Don't need it. We then have 3 Dark Crowns by Kendara Blake. I'm pretty sure that the sequel to this I also have in the stack somewhere. And the reason is I'm just not really interested in this series anymore. I bought it, I think, from a charity shop perhaps, like when I was first building my collection back in 2020, and I haven't read it since then. I haven't felt inclined to pick it up at all. Whenever it's come up on my Wheel of Fortune I've just respun, so clearly don't want to read it and I don't think I'm going to. Same with this one, Yes, No, Maybe So by Becky Albertelli and Aisha Saeed. It's a YA contemporary. and while I love Becky Albertalli, I've just never felt inclined to pick this one up. We then have The Art of Not Breathing by Sarah Alexander. I have actually read this, but I didn't really like it. It is a YA contemporary about a girl whose twin died 5 years ago, and honestly I can't really remember what happens. Does she like die in it or something halfway through and then comes back? I can't remember. I'm pretty sure I was gifted this by a friend quite a few years ago, but I don't really like it. We then have a book that was given to me in my welcome package from Waterstones. That is My Name is Lucy Barton by Elizabeth Strout. I'm pretty sure that this is some sort of literary fiction. It was longlisted for the Man Booker Prize in 2016, but it's just not really my thing. We then have a very recent read for me. That is Kindling by Tracy Chee, and I actually have the arc of this somewhere. I don't quite know where, but it's somewhere, so I'm going to be unhauling that as well, so this counts as 2. It's a YA fantasy that has 7 main characters and it's all told from second person perspective, and I just couldn't get along with it at all. I think I gave it 3 stars, which isn't necessarily a bad rating, but I can't see myself reaching to pick this up again, so it has to go. Then have a book I read 2 years ago. It's called Yesterday's History by Kosoko Jackson. This is a kind of time travel book. It's set between present day and like the 1960s, I think. I don't really like it, and it is also queer, so it's not, I quite like that representation, but I don't think it was very good. I haven't read this one. It's History Is All You Left Me by Adam Silvera, but I didn't really like They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. I think I'm keeping that one for now just because it is like a YA classic, but I don't see the need to keep this one because I didn't really like his writing style, unfortunately, and can't see myself picking it up at all. We then have Summer Days and Summer Nights. It's an anthology. It's got some really great writers in here. You've got Leigh Bardugo, Cassandra Clare, Libba Bray, Stephanie Perkins, Veronica Roth, and I'm pretty sure that I liked some of the stories in here, but I feel like the Cassandra Clare one, aren't they like cousins in it or something? And I can't see myself picking this up again. So we then have a duology. It's the Bone Crier's Moon duology by Catherine Purdy. I read this in sort of 2020, didn't really like them. We then have The Siren by Kira Cass. Didn't like it at all when I read it. Rune Marks by Joanne Harris is I feel like it's Vikings-esque, and I never want to reach for it. I feel like it wouldn't necessarily be a bad book, but I've had it for 3-4 years and have never once reached for it, so I don't feel like I'm going to. The Places I Cried in Public by Holly Bourne. It's quite traumatic actually to read. There's heavy trigger warnings in this for rape, and it was a really hard read, very emotional, but I'm not a Holly Bourne fan, so I feel like it should go to a more loving home. Same thing with The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. This wasn't necessarily a bad book, it wasn't really for me, and I feel like there's someone out there who will love it a lot more than I do, so yeah. A Song of Salvation by Alechi Dow. I was given this as an arc, and it's meant to be, it literally says on the back that fans of Alechi's previous books will be delighted to see some favourite characters make an appearance, but new readers can come to this fresh as well. But I have to say, you needed to have read the first 2 books in order to understand what was going on in this, so I don't know why they're marketing it as a standalone, because I couldn't. So hopefully this will go to someone who's read the first 2 books and will be able to actually enjoy it. This one, not going to talk about very much. Ends of Us by Colleen Hoover. Don't need this in my house. You and Me at the End of the World by Brianna Bourne. This was a YA contemporary that I had a lot of hope for. I love a good YA dystopian, but I really didn't like how the ending played out and how the disappearance of everybody was explained. Okay, I'm going to put a little spoiler warning in here, so just skip ahead if you do want to read this, but it was all a dream. Okay, that's the end of spoilers. Zyla and Kai by Christina Forrest. YA romance, wasn't necessarily bad. I don't really like the cover. Like, it just feels kind of lazy with just this 2-toned background. And it wasn't a favourite. I don't need it. Will Grayson by John Green and David Levithan. This was a YA classic at the peak of John Green era, but I could never get into this one. It wasn't a favourite of mine like The Fault in Our Stars or Looking for Alaska, so don't need it. K-Pop Confidential by Stephen Lee. I'm pretty sure the sequel to this one is in the stacks as well, so this will also count for 2. But I read the first one and it was just okay. I feel like this was just when I was buying pretty much every book that I was seeing recommended on Bookstagram and on BookTube, and I'm not really a K-pop girly, so I don't need this, and it can go to a more loving home. Landline by Rainbow Rowell. It was okay. It wasn't the best Rainbow Rowell book that I've read. so I don't need this. And I also was not expecting it to be a Christmas book as well. I'm pretty sure it was Christmas perhaps, but yeah, I just don't need it. I didn't love it. Finding Audrey by Sophie Kinsella. I read this years ago, like probably 8 years ago now, and even at the time I could recognise that it wasn't the best. The main character has anxiety, and I'm pretty sure from what I remember of it that the anxiety pretty much gets cured by her falling in love with somebody. So got Another Holly Born. It only happens in the movies. I'm pretty sure I like this one, but again, I'm not a Holly Born fan, so I feel like I'm just gonna get rid of most of her books. And then Me and Earl and the Dying Girl by Jessie Andrews. This was another kind of classic, but I don't find myself reaching for it at all. I haven't watched the film. I don't really know what it's about. I can go to a better home. The next one, I can't remember if Violet likes this one or not, so I'm sorry because I know that she's a really big Sally Rooney fan. But it's Conversations with Friends. It just wasn't as good as Normal People, and I don't see myself reaching to reread it. Glad I have read it, but I don't see myself reaching to reread it, so I don't need it, and it can go to someone who might love it even more. The Rest of Us Just Live Here by Patrick Ness. I haven't read it, but I don't find myself reaching for it at all. Absolutely no idea what it's about. It says that it's about the many different types of remarkable, but I can't see myself reaching to read this anytime soon. Superman Dawnbreaker by Matt Della Pena. I have read this one. This is part of the DC kind of like origin stories. So it's a series that DC have put out about the origin stories of various DC heroes. So you've got Batman, Superman, pretty sure there was Catwoman. Did Sarah J Maas do a Catwoman one? I've got most of them, but I didn't really like this one, so I don't need it. Windfall by Jennifer E. Smith. Read it years ago, can't see myself rereading. Same again with Frat Girl by Kylie Roach. I have read this one, could not tell you what it's about, so I don't need it. The Summer of Bitter and Sweet by Jen Ferguson. This was one of the very first arcs I was ever sent through Bookstagram, and while I am very, very grateful for the opportunities that have been awarded to me from Bookstagram, I didn't really like this one. I think I gave it 3 stars, but I feel like some people definitely would, so it can go to a better home. A Song Below Water by Bethany C. Morrow. This is about mermaids. I didn't really like it, and I really, really, really did not like the sequel either. Actually, I've surprised myself because I didn't know this was in the stacks. Apparently I have decided to get rid of They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera, and I can see why. I didn't enjoy it. I don't want to read the prequel that came out. It was like the first to die at the end, and there's since been another book in the world announced. I didn't think that it was that good to need more books, and I don't want to keep this one. How to Excavate a Heart by Jake Meyer Arlo. I really like this one. It's a YA contemporary set at Christmas. Sapphic. The only reason I'm getting rid of the arc is because I was also sent a finished copy, and I'd rather have the finished copy. I've Lost My Way by Gail Forman. I'm pretty sure I read this one, but I don't remember anything about it, and it was really in the era when I had just finished reading If I Stay by Gail Forman and was just buying all of her books. It's not as good as If I Stay. Here the Whole Time by Vitor Martins. This is a translated book from Portuguese, I think. So YA contemporary, it's queer, and I don't really like it. She Drives Me Crazy by Kelly Quinlan. This is a sapphic YA contemporary, and I know a lot of people really, really like this, but it wasn't for me, so it can go to a better home. Sisters of the Snake by Serena and Sasha Nanua. I got this in an Owl Crate box in 2020, maybe 2021, and it was okay. At the time I was willing to read the sequel, but it was going to be at least a year before the sequel came out, and since then I've just lost interest in the series, and I don't feel the need to keep the first book. I didn't love it that much that I need to keep this, and it is a special edition. I'm pretty sure that the cover has a different colourway perhaps to the original. I feel like someone else will like it more. The Gilded Ones by Namina Fauna. Again, this is an Owl Crate book that I was sent as part of my subscription. I'm pretty sure I have this in paperback as well. I think I bought the paperback just before my Owl Crate box arrived with this in, and seeing as I have the 2 sequels in paperback, I don't need a hardback as well. I didn't love this first book that much to need duplicates. And then we have City of Heavenly Fire by Cassandra Clare. The only reason I'm getting rid of this one is because it is the only edition I have that does not match the spines of all the rest of the books that I have by Cassandra Clare, and as soon as I found this book in the regular, like the matching editions to the rest in a charity shop, I knew I was going to get rid of this one, so it's time for it to finally leave the house. Hope that editing me is keeping count, because I'm certainly not. I've lost count of how many books we're unhauling so far. Okay, we've got a number of books that I was sent as part of the Waterstones welcome package. Once again, I'm Pilgrim by Terry Hayes, never gonna read this. Empire Land by Safnam Sanghera, never gonna read this. Surrounded by Idiots by Thomas Erickson, never gonna read this. Deadly Education by Naomi Novik, I own it in hardback, don't need the paperback. Invisible Women by Caroline Criado Perez, never gonna read it. Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin, never gonna read it. One of Us is Lying by Karen McManus, already own this exact same edition, so don't need to. And then we have another Holly Bourne, not part of the Waterstones welcome package, of Are We All Lemmings and Snowflakes. This is a book about a mental health camp, I think. I liked it at the time, but I don't need it. Promise Boys by Nick Brooks. I liked this a lot when I first read it, but I can't see myself reaching to reread it, so... Royce Rolls by Margaret Stoll. This was a YA contemporary that I bought when I was just buying all the YA books that I was seeing online, and I don't think I really liked it. I can't really remember anything about it. Then have Stags by M.A. Bennett. This is a YA thriller, and there's loads of books in this series, and while I like the first book, I can't be bothered to get all of the other ones. Then have Gleanings by Neil Shusterman. I love the sci-fi series, but I was accidentally bought 2 copies of this for Christmas one year, and I don't need to. If You Only Knew by Prerna Pickett. I didn't really like this one. It was pretty bad. We then have all of the books in the Alex and Eliza series by Melissa de la Cruz, so this is going to count for 3 because the other books are somewhere in the stacks, but I don't know where. And this is like a YA take on Hamilton, and I just bought it when I was really obsessed with Hamilton when the stage show first went on to Disney Plus, but the books aren't that good. Not as good as the musical. Serendipity is an anthology of YA meet cutes edited by Marissa Meyer, and while it was alright, it wasn't the best. Silence is Goldfish by Annabelle Pitcher. This is a YA contemporary that I've never read. I think I bought it when it was just really popular at the time of its release, but I don't feel the need to pick it up now. We then have another Holly Bourne, How Hard Can Love Be? Didn't like it. I'm pretty sure that this one is the second book in the Spinster Club series, and I really did not like the main character at all. Lady Midnight by Cassandra Clare. This is very similar to the City of Heavenly Fire situation. I got this one, it's the big paperback version, and I've since gotten the regular matching edition, so I don't need to. The Wrong Kind of Weird by James Ramos. I was sent this from a publisher, didn't like it. This Time Will Be Different by Misa Sugiura. I read the author's book, It's Not Like It's a Secret, and really like that one. I didn't like this one as much. We then have 2 books by Kate Ling, The Glow of Fallen Stars and The Loneliness of Distant Beings. I'm pretty sure these are part of a series, but I just think the covers are so ugly and I don't feel inclined to pick this up. I'm pretty sure this is sci-fi, and I'm not a massive sci-fi girly. If I'm going to have sci-fi books, I want them to be books I really want to read. We then have the really pretty edition of Great Expectations. This is the Chiltern Classics edition. It's got metallic silver sprayed edges. It's really heavy. It's a gorgeous edition, but I have Great Expectations in the Wordsworth Classics editions, and I'd rather just have that matching set, so I don't need this one. Ties That Tether by Jane Ikaro. This is a adult romance, and I'm pretty sure it was accidental pregnancy trope, and it was alright, but I don't need it. Law by Alexandra Bracken. This was an Owl Crate book for January 2021, and I'm pretty sure that the same month was when I started my Fairy Loot subscription. Law was also included in that box, and I'd rather have the Fairy Loot edition because this one, it doesn't have sprayed edges, it's just got a different colourway, so I don't need 2 editions. A Blade So Black by L.L. McKinney. This is an Alice in Wonderland retelling, and there's at least 2 sequels, but I really did not like this first one, so it needs to go. Shine by Jessica Jung or Jung. This is another K-pop book. Again, I'm not into K-pop. I don't know why I was buying some K-pop books. Don't need it. Noughts and Crosses by Mallory Blackman. This is obviously a YA classic, but I don't see myself reaching for it. If I find myself wanting to read it, it's very easy to get in a charity shop, or I'll just buy it from work, but I don't need it right now. Witches Steeped in Gold by Shannon Smart. I have the Fairy Loot edition, and I have the matching sequel in a Fairy Loot version as well, so I don't need the Owl Crate edition as well. And again, it's Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. Don't need the screenplay of this. When Ghosts Call Us Home by Katya de Becerra. I was sent this unsolicited from the publisher and I don't really like the cover. Can't see myself wanting to read it. Then have The Wrath and the Dawn by Renee Ardier. I somehow ended up with 2 copies of this and I haven't read it, so I only need the one. Wilder Girls by Rory Power. This is a YA sort of paranormal horror kind of thing, and while it was quite I enjoyed it at the time, I don't need to reread it. Moxie by Jennifer Matthew. This was a classic at the time it came out. It was absolutely everywhere, but I don't need it. Nothing Sung and Nothing Spoken by Nita Tyndall. This is a YA historical fiction and it was okay. It was decent, but I'm not going to be rereading it anytime soon, so it's got to go. 12 Days of Dash and Lily by Rachel Cohn and David Levithan. This is the sequel to Dash and Lily's Book of Dares, and I much preferred the first book to this one. Don't need it. My True Love Gave to Me. This is kind of along the same lines of that Summer Days and Summer Nights one, and it's an anthology. It's got Holly Black, it's got Jenny Han, it has Laini Taylor, but I'm not going to be rereading it. The exact opposite of Okay by Laura Stephen. I remember really liking this at the time that I read it, but not going to reread it. Chasing the Stars by Mallory Blackman. This is a YA sci-fi by the author of Noughts and Crosses. I'm pretty sure I read it, but I don't really remember anything about it. It wasn't that memorable for me, so bye-bye. We then have all of the books in the Modern Fairy Tales trilogy by Holly Black. The first one is Tive, I think, but I do have the other 2 as well, and I really did not like these at all. I got the whole box set from the Works back in 2020, I think, and yeah, I do not need these in my house. Did not like them, so this counts for free. Silence by Natasha Preston. This was gifted to me by a friend a few years ago before lockdown, and it was okay, but again quite traumatic, and I don't need this. Naomi and Eli's No Kiss List by Rachel Cohn and David Levithan. I remember reading it, I think, years ago, maybe 10 years ago, 8 years ago. I don't remember anything about it. Clearly don't need it. We then have Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. I have both the Wordsworth Classics Collector's Edition and also the Puffin and Bloom edition, so I don't need this one. It also has really white paper, which I remember really disliking when I was reading it. Rebel of the Sands by Elwyn Hamilton. Read this, hated it. What's a Girl Gonna Do by Holly Bourne. This is another book in the Spinster Club series. Didn't like it. Eleanor and Park by Rainbow Rowell. Not her best work. Another David Levithan, we have Marley's Ghost. This is a Christmas Carol retelling and it was not very good. Don't Stop Thinking About Tomorrow by Siobhan Curran. This is a YA contemporary that I remember quite liking at the time, but I just don't feel like I'm going to reread it, so it can go to a better home. Anna K by Jenny Lee. This is an Anna Karenina retelling. It's YA, and I just remember it being kind of Gossip Girl-esque, and it just wasn't that good. Another YA contemporary was Sister of the Bollywood Bride by Nandini Bajpai. Not good. The Changing Man by Tomi Oyebakinde. I haven't read it. It was sent to me unsolicited by the publisher and I really don't like that cover. It freaks me out, so I don't want that in my house. Another unsolicited book was The Headmaster's List by Melissa Dela Cruz. I was put off from reading this because of the Alex and Liza series. I can't remember if I included this one when I was talking about A Song Below Water, but it's A Chorus Rises by Bethany C. Morrow. It's the sequel or companion to A Song Below Water, and I hated this. I gave this 1 star. Feminists Don't Wear Pink and Other Lies, curated by Scarlett Curtis. I remember getting this because Zoella recommended it back in the Zoella era, and yeah, I don't need it. Rebel Belle by Rachel Hawkins. This was, again, a book I got when I was just buying every book I saw online, and it was alright, but I have not felt tempted to buy the sequels at all since, so I don't need the first book. Am I Normal Yet by Holly Bourne. This is the first book in the Spinster Club, and I remember actually quite liking this one, but because of how much I hated the sequels, I don't need this one. And finally, we have Unspeakable by Abby Rushton. Again, this was bought for me by a friend right before lockdown, I think it was, and it was alright, but I don't need it. Okay, so I have got absolutely no idea what the final count was for that. It will be somewhere on the screen here of what the final count was. Good luck to editing me for counting all of these up. But yeah, I'm surrounded by stacks of books now that I want out of my house. I don't want to see these. I want to take them to charity shops or sell them on Vinted. That was my very first unhaul. I hope that you liked it. Let me know if I'm making a mistake with any of these. I don't think I am, but if you think I am, let me know. You will probably see another unhaul from me in a couple of months' time because the shelves, they're overflowing once again, so probably gonna need to cull some more books. But for now, I feel like this amount of books that's surrounding me is fine to just unhaul these for now. So as I said, check out my Vinted in the description below. My ring light has just gone off, so that's good timing. You can check my description down below for the link to my Vinted if you want to see which of these you can buy. I don't know which ones are going to be going on there yet, so you'll just have to have a little look. In the description, you can also find the link to my Goodreads and my Bookstagram if you want to follow me on either of those. I hope you liked this video. Like this video if you liked it, and subscribe if you wanna. And I will see you in another video very soon. Bye!